Welcome to Enfield Today. My name is Kevin Kibbe. I'm your host for another week and another exciting episode. Today's episode is going to be very educational and informative, and it's about the gay and lesbian community here in Enfield, but, all over the place as well. I'd like to start off, as we usually do, by introducing our guests of the week, Larry Tav, Mary Beth Norton, and Lynn Kostek. They have started a new Facebook group, which is going to be a very positive thing for these guys, I think. And what it's going to do is help promote and educate and do a lot of other things. It's called the LGBTQA of Enfield, Connecticut. And Lynn, I want to start with you this week. What inspired you to create the Facebook group?
Well, talking to both Mary Beth and to Larry, we're finding out that there's a lot of facilities in the local area that have been closing. The LGBT community needs a safe environment in order to meet up, to have fun, to talk with each other, to meet with each other in a safe environment and without prejudice. So that's the main reason that we started this Facebook group.
Sure, and just going into it a little bit more, what do you mean by safe environment? Like, what kind of things could possibly somebody deal with if they went to a regular,
I'm going to pass that question over to Larry.
I would say, there's just dangers everybody faces going to bars or places like that. More so, I feel for LGBT people, it can be dangerous. Just there's a lot of hate out there still, and it would just be nice to have a place where, especially those of us, younger generations too, can feel safe and and not judged when you go out and meet like-minded people and just have a safe place to hang out.
And it's a shame that you have to run into that. I can't understand how somebody could look down on anybody for that reason, but I do know it exists. And so you're saying, like, say if you went into, I don't know, a local bar to have a beer after work, you could still, to this day, still feel some stares or the whispers. And
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not as prevalent, but it is still there, and there is still a fear of just being yourself and being able to go out and enjoy yourself without fearing walking to your car at night.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's needed.
Excuse me. And it's funny because I'm not usually stuck for words, but when I hear stuff like that, I am. Because I don't know what to say. I don't know how that mentality works. But again, I do know it exists. Mary Beth, you're part of the original forming of this Facebook group. What were your thoughts behind it when you did it?
My thoughts behind it, basically, everything around us closed down. So my thoughts, it's basically people who get victimized at so-called bars, and they get beat up and hospitalized most of the time for being gay, which to me isn't right at all.
No, and it's sad. And the other thing too that I noticed, I looked at it a little bit, and what's positive, and I do like, is the safe place for everybody to get together to go to the movies or to go to Six Flags or do whatever as a group. You guys are also, though, are educating people in this group. What kind of things would you like? What does, for somebody who doesn't know, and there may be a lot, what does LGBTA-QA stand for?
Basically, LGBTQA stands for lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, questioning or queer. And then the last one is allies, which is people who support LGBT but
Kinda
aren't
like
them
your mom.
themselves. Yeah.
Okay, so and hopefully there's a lot more of that coming out. And if you guys do this right, your stuff could be really powerful and educating a lot of folks. And there are folks questioning. There are folks sitting at home, probably younger kids, who may be gay and are afraid to say something because of the stigma. Like we were talking in an earlier show, there's a stigma attached, sadly, for being gay. and they may be suffering and afraid, and you guys might help them out. I had a question for you though, Larry. When you came out, were you afraid to come out? What was your, how was that for you?
Yeah, I didn't come out, unlike most people, I didn't come out until I was later in my 20s, for the fear of losing friends, losing family, not knowing what kind of life I was going to have because of my view on being gay was what I had grown up with, which was not always positive and not always accepting. So that was probably my biggest fear, and what kind of held me back from being the person I am, and not that it changes the person I am, but that it held me back from being my full potential and full happiness.
Sure, and we were discussing earlier, you had kind of an interesting story in a bit that you actually led out of fear or concern. I don't know if fear is the best word, but whatever it may be. You actually led a double life, if you will, for a while. Tell a little bit about that.
I did. I was with a girl for 5 years. We were engaged, and it was amazing, but it became just friends. Like after a while, we were just friends, and I came out to her first, and she was very supportive and just wanted me to be happy, and we are still friends to this day.
That's kind of cool.
She has came to gay clubs with me.
Has she?
Yeah,
Good for you.
But I mean, we developed such a bond, and I think she was one of the first people to tell me that it didn't change the person I am. And she told me she would always love me, and what we had will always be special. And so that was one of my biggest supports coming out too.
Have you had any pushback, since you came out? I mean, I'm sure it hasn't been all, roses.
I don't think I haven't personally dealt with a lot of like outside hatred of people. I did lose a few friends, and not in a bad way. I just don't think they were comfortable with it, so we just don't talk. If I see them out, it's hello, but we don't really talk anymore, and that's fine because I'd rather be happy than.
Sure, but at the same token, maybe this group that you guys are doing, people like that, can educate themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what we want to do is
learn.
Because it's one person at a time,
The big thing I see a lot of times is fear of the unknown. And I've known you I haven't, but say I've known you, we were good friends, and then we hung out, and all of a sudden you said that. If I didn't know what it was, I might be afraid of it, and then not in a bad way, but still, and then just like you were saying, over time, you just start talking a little less and less and less until you're friends on Facebook, and that's about it. How about you? Was it easy for you to come out? Did you have struggles before you came out?
I had a big problem before I came out versus like I wanted to be a guy versus like just being a lesbian. So to me, I like I said, my mom knows this whole story, but I had trouble with alcohol drinking, and the only way for me to come out was to just do it.
Sure.
Versus keeping it hidden from family, in which they were great supporters for me.
But when you did, I know talking to your mom, you had a lot of support. I don't know if you expected that support.
I did not.
And that's kind of neat to have parents, because Lynn, what did you say that I loved it? So about the children,
My
who come
story
out.
about when she came out.
Well, that, but also there's a specific thing you said that I don't want to give away about they don't change who they are, kind of a thing. I thought that was a neat thing.
What I would like to address is like other parents out there. Me as a parent, I loved her even before she came out. She's my daughter.
Sure.
I gave birth to her. She's my baby. Just because she came out does not going to change my views on what I feel about her. And and I'd like to say that to other parents of lesbians or gays or transgenders or bisexuals, is that they're the same person, they're the same kid, before they came out, they're the same kid after they came
Yeah,
out.
that's what you said, and I love that because it doesn't change who she is.
No.
You know, you've known her your whole life, obviously. You know, you gave
She's
birth to her.
still
and
my
everything
baby. Yeah.
It's just have you had any pushback though? Like, he hasn't seemed to have too much, but like since you've come out, have you lost friends? Have you gained friends?
I
you-
have gained a lot of friends.
Good.
Yeah, that I have. Usually hanging out with him, I gain his friends who are also gay, and then we all just go out. Usually, we would go out to gay clubs, but now they're all closed, so it's like.
So it sounds like though you guys got, you know, mini support groups, if you will, in a sense, because you're hanging out with like-minded people who, you know, do, you know, whatever it is together, and that support has got to be refreshing. Because I know when you go, say if you go out to work or if you go to some place where, you know, you have the general population. I knew a friend at work where I worked for a long time who was gay but was afraid to tell his coworkers he was gay. So he came out with his family and everything. So here we are at work, and it's like he's starting all over again, you know, with the whole I'm afraid to come out. So he had to relive that. And you know, this was in the early 90s. Now it's a little bit better. I hope that, you know, we can, you know, get rid of that stigma because it's, you know, I guess you'll never get rid of it at 100% because there's always people out there who hate to hate. But weird question for you, but did your upbringing, you know, influence your sexuality?
Mine, not personally to me. I mean, the way I was brought up was to always accept everyone for who they are, no matter if they're gay, lesbian, straight, like anything, like mentally ill or handicapped. I was always brought up to respect others and treat others the way you would like to be treated versus treating them like crap because of who they are.
Because I've heard that, you know, you hear all these different stories and you see all these different views. Well, if he was raised different, he wouldn't be gay, or if he, you know, or it's because he was raised a certain way. What about you? I mean,
I don't think, I mean, I'm not sure, I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I was raised in a super, like, around macho, like, working on cars and playing sports, and me and my grandpa watched football every Sunday, and there was nothing to steer me towards being gay.
correct.
I didn't even really know what gay was until probably middle school when somebody else said they were gay.
Yeah, when you went through puberty.
So I don't think, for me at least, had anything to do with my upbringing.
I am 100% myself, 100,000% pure believer that it's not a choice. I don't think, you know, somebody sits there at home one afternoon and says, I know what I'll do. I'll be gay. Nobody does that.
No.
And it's the same thing as being straight. You don't wake up one morning and say, you know, I think I want to date a girl. You just are what you are, and you know that's the thing where people say just change, just don't do it. You know, there's even, you know, I'm a strong Christian person, and it's sad that there's Christian people and groups and churches who will say bad things like you deserve eternal punishment because
Or to
of
sin.
right. Of a choice that you have no not a choice of an issue that you guys have no control over. Now you said a little bit, you know, going back to how you lived a double life and you know you even dated and were engaged to somebody of the opposite sex. Was she the only one? Like, did you?
Oh no, I dated through high school, all girls. I never did anything or had a boyfriend or anything until after I broke up with my fiance.
That must have been tough, man. I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and you know.
Yeah, no, it really was, and it was because, case in point, nobody would choose to be gay,
Right.
and that's why you see so many people get married and are in unhappy situations because they don't want to come out, and they don't feel like there's the support and that they can live a normal life or, you know, reach their goals if they are gay.
Yeah, and I hope, you know, it's 2016, and I've got to tell you, we were talking, because we always meet before we do any shows, and some of the things, you know, you guys were saying is pretty bad, but since I've been, and like in the last 30 years, last 20 years, since I was out of high school and stuff, the changes have been drastic and they've been really good. But it doesn't mean that it's all fixed, you know. Yourself though, have you dated somebody from the opposite sex?
That I have.
Okay.
I have dated at least 2 people that I know of. One of them actually passed away recently. So yeah, that was hard. But when I was with them, it's not so much that I just started not to like boys. I mean, it's just very difficult to explain, kind of.
I hear you.
Where it's like, one day I didn't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm gonna date girls. It's kind of like a process that goes around, and you think, and you're like, do I really like guys or do I really like girls? What's between that?
I was going to say, I'd like to say something here.
Sure.
I've noticed, even from when she was younger, when she was, I would say, 6 or 7, I saw it coming. I saw it coming down the road when she didn't want to wear the girly clothes, or she didn't want to play dolls with the girls. She wanted to play basketball with the boys. You know, so I've seen this coming down the road, and you know, it's so funny because people say to me, they're going, "Well, what did you do when she came out?" And it's like, what? Like I didn't see this coming? You know?
Yeah, that was good. I was about to ask you that because I can't imagine. You know, I know my girls very well, and I know they're not. But if one of them was, like, I don't think it would be all that big a surprise. And yet, you had some pushback with your, folks a little bit because they seemed like legitimately shocked. Which it kind of surprises me, but.
Yeah, I think because I hid it for so long.
You must have hid it well.
I try. Or tried, but there was always signs, I guess. But I always was taught to just do what I was supposed to do.
Sure.
So even if it was something I didn't want to do or I wasn't like so interested in watching football every week, I would watch it anyway. Mm-hmm. And keep up on all the stats and everything to talk with my friends, and it was just to be accepted.
Right. You didn't want to be,
especially in those middle school years.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
feel like there's enough problems.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But here's a question for you, Mom.
Okay.
How do you feel about being the parent of a lesbian? Does it make any difference?
No, none at all. And this is where I find difficulty in understanding other parents that have lesbian or gay children, is that they can't come to grips with this, and it's like, it's the same kid. I don't understand where the problem is.
Yeah, you haven't changed.
Yeah, it's the same kid before, after, it's the same kid.
It's
just because who they sleep with, really, is that going to change the way you love your child?
I would like to think not, but sadly, unfortunately, it does. And what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a short break. We're going to have a public service announcement, and we will be right back.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks. Giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Thanks and welcome back to Enfield Today. I am again your host, Kevin Kibbe. We have added to the panel here Enfield's own Liz Davis. Liz is somebody I've admired for a long time. Her character and her person and her integrity is mind-blowing to me. A military person, and I thank you for your service before we go any further. But we were asked to bring you on board because we would like to ask you, what is the secret of your success, because you've had a lot of it, that you can pass along to young adults, to adolescents, to somebody watching who may be struggling to do whatever, we've talked about earlier?
Well, that's a good question there, Kevin. I don't really think it's a secret, and it pretty much, we've discussed it before, Matt, if you're straight or not, or gay, you got to believe in yourself first, and be happy with yourself and be real. As long as you're living your life and you're not hurting anybody, you're not breaking laws, to me that's the key. When you can be who you are, love who you want to, and you accept it first, the rest follows. It's not, I know a lot of people will say, society says this, well, I say, I have an amazing wife that I love very much. I'm very proud of my family. I have nothing to hide. And I kind of, if people are out there negative, I turn around and turn it to that more of, they probably have an issue with something or an insecurity or something like that. I don't take it back at me or my family. It's more of, I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm proud of who I am and of my family, and I'll stand tall and say it any given day. And I think that's the first step for anybody.
Sure.
You have to be comfortable with who you are,
And like you said, whether you're gay, straight, whatever, I think that's critical, because if you don't have the confidence in yourself to do whatever it is you need to do, then the rest just kind of crumbles. It's an odd question, but can you live a normal life being a lesbian? Or,
I would have to say yes. I put on my pants the same way anybody else would, which is pretty normal. I mow the lawn the same. I drive a vehicle the same. Most certainly, I think I have lived pretty much a normal life. Yes, something was altered, mostly only due to the military, because it was, not allowed, at all.
Correct. That is, yeah, I remember that.
So that part, yes, is it a little different in your life? But other than that, no. I believe I live a very normal life, and anybody can, matter if you're straight or gay. But your normal life is what you want your life to be, and you don't let somebody else dictate how your life should be. It should be what you want, what your vision is, what your passion is, what your heart tells you to do.
Sure.
And that's how you live a normal life. It's your life.
And you must have seen, I can imagine, you must have seen a big difference between, like I was saying, when I was in high school, because we're about the same age. So from when we were in high school to 2016, I like to think that we've come a long way, as far as society goes, in accepting, because you had to have seen some of that, correct?
We see a great deal. Since 18, I've been in the military, where prior to Don't Ask, Don't Tell was even implemented, until now, I never thought I would see that it was openly you can serve when you love your country, and you honestly can openly serve. Before I retired, and actually it happened, which was a very, just a big monument to happen and
Sure.
see that. But out in society, I have seen a great deal change. Do we have a lot more to do? Most certainly. I'm involved in, family equality, GLAAD, the True Color, military partners family. I'm very active in the military of GLBT, nevertheless civilian. So we have a long way to still go because of people being judgmental, of course, hate and prejudice, which is not just GLBT, it's all around on a lot of things. But I think that we've made a lot of strides.
And like you said, there's a long ways to go. We've come a long ways, but we're not there yet.
Correct.
We're getting there, but we're not there yet. And hopefully, like the Facebook group that you guys are doing, this show that we're doing, and anything else that people can look for and find for educational purposes and whatnot, realize, you're no different than anybody else. Like you said, you put your pants on the same way, you mow the lawn the same way. What do you mean you don't mow it backwards? Everything's normal. And just because you have a wife and I have a wife doesn't make you any different than me, And I really like how you're so strong on supporting and loving and believing in yourself, because that's the most important thing as far as anybody goes. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Is there any final thoughts that any of the three of you would like to say somebody's watching, Larry? Say somebody's watching and they're afraid to come out. What advice would you give that person today?
A lot of what Liz said actually is great advice. I wish I had heard that when I was younger. So definitely, there is hope and it's going to be okay. And if anybody needs to anybody to talk to for support, we do have our Facebook page, LGBTQA of Enfield, on Facebook, and there is an email on there if you'd like to email privately with one of us. Everything's confidential. So
and you'll respond each person.
All of us, the three of us are on there to respond. So
perfect. I mean, this is wonderful. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
Very educational show today, and going forward, hopefully people realize and learn and not be so quick to judge, but maybe look into it a little bit, maybe look into themselves and wonder why they dislike something that shouldn't be disliked. But out of time. Thank you guys again for another wonderful week, and we will return next week on Enfield Today. Have a great day, guys.